How you doing, everyone? Scott back again for a vinyl and CD update. I've kind of changed my buying habits over the last couple of weeks. I've kind of gone a bit more down the eBay route and try to kind of source those kind of more harder to find stuff rather than the convenience of Amazon, which I've been using quite a lot over the last few months. So it's been really good actually. It's a great way to discover music as well. I mean, if you put in hard rock LP on eBay, of course you'll get your Whitesnake, you'll get your Guns N' Roses, you'll get Deep Purple, Rainbow, all that stuff, but then you will get these gems that will show up and they'll be £6, £7. You know, it's a great way to discover music. Sometimes I look at a cover, I think that's interesting, look at the year, 1988 for example, and you think, okay, all the signs are there, I'll check them out on YouTube, and you know, the deal is done. So that's what a lot of this stuff's going to be. I'm going to try and keep this video a little shorter. I've been putting out massively long videos, not massively long, but longer than I like to. So I think I'm going to do maybe 4 or 5. I'll do one from Amazon because I did buy it because it was dirt cheap, but the rest are buys from eBay. So I'll get stuck into the CDs. First one is going to be from 2004, and it is Metal Church, The Weight of the World. This is the first album to feature Ronnie Monroe on vocals, and he does a fantastic job. I mean, the era with Ronnie Monroe is probably the era that I know the least. It's the era that I've kind of been sleeping on, really. I do have A Light in the Dark, which is a great album too, and this is superb as well. I mean, of course, when you think Metal Church, you'll always think The Dark, Blessing in Disguise, the debut, but do not sleep on this stuff as well. I mean, this is great. I mean, I don't think there's any massively standout songs, but as an album, it's superb. I can't actually say enough how much you should have this, because it's really good. Cheap as well, but yeah, I'm really happy to pick that up. It was a great album. And the other CD I got is from Bruce Dickinson, The Best Of. So a lot of people have been showing Bruce Dickinson in the last few weeks, and I basically got to the stage where I thought, okay, I'm now missing out. I've got to check out his stuff. I have really slept on the Bruce Dickinson stuff. I just thought, if it's not Iron Maiden, I'm not really too bothered. But it's really, really decent. I've actually gone and ordered some of his studio albums because I thought, I'll buy this. If it doesn't impress me, then I'll move on. I've not lost much. I think this was £2.62 delivered from good old Music Magpie. But this is like a 2-disc set. I think the disc 2, it's hard to read, special edition tracks from the vaults. So, but disc 1 is obviously your kind of best ofs from the studio albums. So I mean, songs like Broken, Tattooed Millionaire, Laughing in the Hiding Bush, it's a superb song. Tears of the Dragon, yeah, the song Born in 58, which was a bit cheesy. I wasn't a massive fan of that one, but that was probably the only one that kind of stood out as not a great track. Accident of Birth, what was the other one? Chemical Wedding, really great stuff. So I'm really impressed. I'm really glad I picked that up and kind of got my teeth a bit deeper into Bruce Dickinson's solo work. So really happy with that. Right, I'll move on to the vinyl. First one I'll just kind of quickly pass over. It's a bit of a novelty buy, but it's the Rocky 3 soundtrack. So I basically grew up with the Rocky films, and I've been slowly picking up the soundtracks. So I now have Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, and it's just your usual, you know how the soundtracks work. Biggest song on here, obviously, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. And then you've got some stuff by Frank Stallone, who's Sylvester Stallone's brother, also a singer. Gonna Fly Now, you know, the Rocky theme, all that kind of stuff. So this is from 1982. So I was happy to grab that just as a kind of novelty thing. Next up is it's an album that's been mentioned a couple of times, I think by Bev and Cloudy. It's Kingdom and Lost in the City. Now I think Kingdom also go by the name Domain. I've seen this, I'm sure, called Domain. They must have changed their name at some point. I don't know the ins and outs of Kingdom, but there's an awesome shot of them on the back. They don't look like a 1988 hard rock metal band. They look like some sort of disco rock band from 1975. But, you know, I was kind of surprised with this album because it started off, I thought this is going to be really keyboard heavy. The first song is the title track. Comes in with these heavy keyboards, and I thought, right, okay, this could be interesting. But it actually was quite an interesting listen. It kind of goes through the motions of the kind of the light side of hard rock into the kind of lighter side of metal. The keyboards for me, by the end of the album, they weren't overpowering. They were probably a little more than I would like, but not too bad. They kind of reminded me of the first couple of albums from Bon Jovi. That's the kind of the lines I was going along with this. And they also had the other comparison I'll make is, I can't remember what song it was. It was on side one. It was either, I think it was Sign From Your Heart. I'm not sure, but they had these really intense background falsetto vocals. So you had the lead vocalist going through obviously his parts, and then in the background you had this falsetto harmony, and that kind of reminded me of early Bon Jovi because Alec John Such used to do those really high falsetto harmonies, I think on the first album. So in the end, it was a decent album. I didn't pay a lot for it, but I would definitely recommend you having a listen. It's almost like a lighter version of Turbo by Judas Priest, with those kind of the same kind of like synthesizers and keyboards in it. So that might put you off. That might turn you on to this. So whichever one, you can let me know. So that's Kingdom, Lost in the City, also known as Domain. But yeah, I was quite happy with that pickup. Next up is going to be from Cooney, and it's the album Mask. This is from 1986. So this was a really interesting album as well. This is one I kind of found while I was browsing eBay, and it's basically along the lines of Racer X with Paul Gilbert, Yngwie Malmsteen, Chastain, basically a guitarist forming a band and kind of using that as a vehicle to show off his own skills, basically. It's a great album though. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of guest vocalists, drummers, bass players, all that kind of stuff on it, but the main vocalist on the album is Neil Turbin, who was originally with Anthrax. He sounds awesome on this. Some really great songs. So it's kind of hard rock on the verge of metal. If you're interested in that, give this a listen. It's really decent. So it's basically Kuni Takuchi, who's a guitarist, who obviously the album is named after. Neil Turbin on vocals. You've also got Kevin DuBrow on backing vocals from Quiet Riot. Cal Swan, the vocalist for Lion, does some vocals. Frankie Banali, drummer for Quiet Riot, also does drums and backing vocals. Billy Sheehan does a bit of bass. So it's kind of like an all-star lineup for Cooney and Mask, but definitely worth checking out. Not the best cover. That's not really that impressive, but I'm sure the music for a lot of you will be right up your street, so give that a shot. Cooney and Mask. Next up is going to be from Reverend, and this is World Won't Miss You from 1990. So I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with Reverend. If not, this is basically the band that was formed by David Wayne and the remaining members of Heretic. So David Wayne left Metal Church, formed Reverend with members of Heretic. Mike Howe left Heretic to join Metal Church. So when you get into this album, it's very much like Metal Church. I'd say it's maybe a bit heavier, a bit thrashier, but that's not a negative. It's absolutely awesome. Just as you'd expect, David Wayne sounds phenomenal. And yeah, I picked this up really cheap. It kind of I was a bit hesitant because it was much cheaper than I thought it was going to be. And so I took a chance on it. I got it in and it just looked horrendous. I looked at the vinyl when I first got it and I thought, oh no, that's not going to play. It looked scratched, it was really dirty. So I thought, right, first thing it needs is a bath. So it got a really good clean, really thorough clean. Got it dried, got it at the turntable, got the rest of the wee bits of dust and stuff off it, and it played immaculately. So really pleased with that. So definitely worth checking out. I don't think I've seen many people show this album, but you know, if you're into Metal Church, check out Reverend. It's not to be missed. So really happy to pick that up. And the last one was my cheap Amazon find, and maybe an album you'd expect me to have, but I've never really been interested in this band. And it's 6am, and it's volume 1 of their latest album, or the latest releases, Prayers for the Damned. So you had volume 1, which is Prayers for the Damned, and you had volume 2, which was Prayers for the Blessed. I've always heard much better things about this volume than the second volume. Now, I think I've heard one song off the other album and it didn't really impress me that much. And I heard one song off this, which was the title track, and I thought it was awesome. Which, now thinking back, I really should have kind of got a bit deeper into this album when it first came out, because that song was really good when I heard it. And obviously, Nikki Sixx, connections to Motley Crue. You'd think it would kind of be a band that I would be looking into, but for some reason 6am I've just never really done it for me. But saying that, after listening to this, after getting it in, it's awesome. I actually really enjoyed it. Now, I don't really enjoy that kind of modern hard rock sound. I think a lot of bands are following that same kind of track of just like sounding the same, but this was really good. Songs like Rise, really good song. You've Come to the Right Place was great. Prayers for the Damned, the title track, was obviously the song I'd heard before. Brilliant song. Can't Stop, When We Were God, Belly of the Beast is a great song. Awesome. I should have picked this up much earlier, but glad I did when it was only 11 quid. The only negative I think I would have is the lyrics. A lot of them are quite generic, which I think Nikki Sixx has kind of fallen into that a little bit in his later years. But then you go on to like the next song and the lyrics are really clever, which Nikki Sixx has always, for me anyway, kind of been known for. He's always had really clever lyrics. But then again, you've kind of got that kind of hot and cold. You've got one generic song and you've got one kind of really clever song. So it would have been a bonus if all the songs were that kind of cleverly written. But I think it's because as well, they all have their own kind of writing credits on this as well. So I think not the lyrics were probably written by all of them. So you've got obviously Nikki Sixx, Motley Crue. So that's the 6 in the 6am. Then you've got DJ Ashba, who was the guitarist with Guns N' Roses for a time, and also did a bit of work on the last Motley Crue album. So he's the A. And then you've got James Michael, who is, I think he produced this album, and he also produced the last Motley Crue album and had writing credits on that as well. So he is the M. So you've got 6AM. That's how that works. This also came on 180 gram ultra clear vinyl. So that was quite nice. I didn't actually know it was coming in clear vinyl, but that was a bit of a bonus. So yeah, I was actually really impressed with this album. I was more impressed than I thought. So I've had a good week for being impressed by albums. But so that was from 2016. I will probably pick up Volume 1, Prayers for the Blessed, at some point, but I think that'll have to come down in price a little bit because that's always been a little higher in price on Amazon than that one, which is a bit strange because I've always heard better things about that volume than the other one. But anyway, I'll see what happens. I'll probably pick it up at some point. So that is my update. I've tried to keep it a bit shorter this time. As always, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for commenting, liking, subscribing. Keep doing all that. I love to hear your comments. I've been a bit lacking in getting back to people in the last few videos, but things are just manic just now. But I will at some point get back to you, don't worry. I always appreciate you guys commenting and doing all that stuff. So yeah, in the meantime, let me know what you think. I'll be back very soon with another update, and I'll see you guys then. Cheers.